Okay, welcome to our video. My name is Victor.
And I'm Tamara, and we are instructors here at Simul. Thank you very much for joining us today.
So today we're going to give you some useful tips on how to improve your listening skills. Probably the first important point is be careful what you choose to listen to. Usually maximum 1 minute or 1.5 minutes is ideal.
For intensive type listening activities, right?
And I think a good one is business reports or a part of a TED talk is very useful.
TED Ed, I mean, just jumping off of that, TED Ed is really nice because they're a bit shorter and more condensed as well. But as Victor mentioned, try to keep it
nice and short.
Yeah.
And lots of information and facts and numbers. Okay, now once you've found something to listen to, step one, you need to do some background research.
Definitely. We've prepared something to focus on for you before you do your listening on citizen journalism. So take a look at the screen. We've given a little bit of background information on citizen journalism and what that entails, followed by a list of questions that would help guide you in your research. What do you think citizen journalism is? How has it been made more possible in the over the last 2 decades especially? And how is it compared to traditional news media platforms like newspapers and TV news?
So to get a definition of citizen journalism, it's a good idea to look at Wikipedia and you'll get a very basic definition. And by answering the questions, you're activating some vocabulary and also building up a little bit of background knowledge about what you're going to listen to. So it is important to do a little bit of preparation before you actually listen, and that involves familiarizing yourself with some of the topic and of course some of the vocabulary that you're going to cover. Okay, so the key points to improve your listening. At Simul, we focus on a number of steps when we listen to something, and the first step is gist listening. And gist listening, why do we do it?
Well, we want to get an overall understanding idea, focus on the topic itself in general.
So just listen, don't take notes, close your eyes if you can, and just see how much you can understand about what you're listening to and the main topic of what you're listening to. Of course, the next step is taking notes. And we actually have a video on this channel specifically focusing on how to take notes. And the link is provided below. Okay, why do we take notes?
Well, one, we take notes to kind of organize ideas. It helps to kind of reduce, we want to focus on content as opposed to function, key points. It just helps us to organize and to catch what we're listening to as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to remember everything, so by taking notes, it helps you with your memory and it helps you remember some of the key words. And as the note-taking video says, don't write down the full word, only write half the word or use an abbreviation.
Contractions.
And only focus on the key words and numbers. And usually those words are stressed and they're a little bit louder. Anyway, the next step, of course, once you have your notes, is use your notes. Okay, so why do we use our notes, or what do we do with our notes?
Well, we use our notes, of course, to, as I previously mentioned, to organize our ideas, the flow of what you're listening to, and it kind of helps us to move into summarizing the key points.
Okay, so summarizing helps us organize the information, and it really pushes us to use our notes, to organize our thoughts, to organize the language into full sentences. Finally, a little bit of shadowing is very useful. So if you've been listening passively and you've been taking notes, it's a good idea to actually repeat everything you hear as you listen. We also have a YouTube video, link below.
You're all set.
And you can check that video on shadowing and how to do it. But all I can say, it helps you with your listening skills, it helps you to recognize words, and also it helps you with your fluency and your pronunciation. And you should record yourself as you're shadowing. Okay? So now you can play the recording and listen and go through those different steps that we outlined for you and do the activities.
On citizen journalism.
We live in a changed world compared to only 20 years ago. The abundance of smartphones with high-definition cameras and the ability to access social media anywhere, anytime has made us all citizen journalists. With these tools, anyone is able to access a worldwide audience within minutes and even seconds after an incident or even during the incident. Let's take the example of the recent incident at a Starbucks cafe in downtown Philadelphia. I don't need to give you the details because most of you already know the gist of this incident without ever reading a newspaper story about it or having seen it on the nightly news. Many of you, I'm sure, have already seen the video, read the Facebook and Twitter comments, even before reading up on it on news websites or seeing the full reports in the TV news media. This was made possible by citizen journalists who were simply other customers there on the scene in the cafe, filming it on their smartphones, uploading the video and making comments about what happened on social media as it was happening or just after. Already the news story of an incident had formed even before the mainstream media organisations had a chance to research it, gather a variety of information, edit and present it in their news reports that evening. There is nothing new about traditional media news anymore. The story is already out there. Many of you see this as a positive, but I have a warning for you all. An increasing number of people do not trust what is presented in the traditional news media anymore. They prefer raw, unedited content delivered live by these so-called citizen journalists.
Okay, so finally we're going to go through some of the comprehension questions to check how well you understand. So we're going to start the sentence and your job will be to complete the sentence. Okay, so I'm going to start off with sentence number 1. We have access to a worldwide audience because the public owns an abundance of...
The abundance of smartphones with high-definition cameras and the ability to access social media anywhere, anytime has made us all citizen journalists.
And then number 2, the speaker does not describe the details of the Philadelphia Starbucks incident because most of them already know.
Because most of you already know the gist of this incident without ever reading a newspaper story about it or having seen it on the nightly news.
Number 3. Many have already...
Many of you, I'm sure, have already seen the video, read the Facebook and Twitter comments, even before reading up on it on news websites or seeing the full reports in the TV news media.
Number 4. Customers on the scene in the cafe had smartphones with them, so as a result, they were able to
uploading the video and making comments about what happened on social media as it was happening or just after.
Number 5. The news story is already out there because the story of an incident had formed even before the
mainstream media organisations had a chance to research it, gather a variety of information, edit and present it in their news reports that evening.
Followed by 6. An increasing number of people do not
An increasing number of people do not trust what is presented in the traditional news media anymore.
And finally, number 7, this is because more people prefer
They prefer raw, unedited content delivered live by these so-called citizen journalists.
So finally, we come to the last part, which is the transcript. And that's why I pointed out to you at the beginning of the video that when you choose your listening material, it's important to have a transcript. Okay, so here is the transcript on the screen. And it's very useful, for example, to check how accurately you summarize the information.
Confirmation.
Check your grammar. Check how accurate your grammar is. And also for shadowing as well. So if you shadow the listening recording and you record yourself, you can actually listen to your own recording and look at the original transcript and check how accurately you're able to reproduce every single word with the correct pronunciation and also with the correct intonation. All right, so
I wanted to say thank you very much for joining us today.
And hopefully these tips will help you to improve your listening skills. Okay, all right, thank you, Tam.
Thank you, Vic.
All right,
Hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you for joining us.